Akashvani presents Morning News. Good morning, I'm Sanjay Mattu. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi describes Indian diaspora as strongest brand ambassadors of the country. Prime Minister holds talks with Crown Prince of Kuwait, Sheikh al-Khalid al-Sabah in New York. India to open 2 new consulates at Boston and Los Angeles in the US. Campaigning for second phase of assembly elections in Jammu and Kashmir to end this evening. Election Commission of India team to arrive in Ranchi today to review preparations for upcoming assembly polls in Jharkhand. And in cricket, BCCI announces Indian squad for second test against Bangladesh to be held in Kanpur. Calling the Indian diaspora Rashtraduts, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said they have always been the country's strongest brand ambassadors. The Prime Minister said this while addressing a large gathering of the Indian community at an event in Nassau Coliseum in Long Island, New York last night.
आपके सामर्थ्य को, भारतीय डायस्पोरा के सामर्थ्य को समझता रहा हूं। जब मेरे पास कोई सरकारी पद नहीं था, तब भी समझता था और आज भी समझता हूं। आप सब मेरे लिए हमेशा से भारत के सबसे मजबूत ब्रांड एम्बेसडर रहे हैं और इसलिए मैं आप सबको राष्ट्रदूत कहता हूं।
Lauding the Indian diaspora's role in India-US bilateral relations, Mr. Modi said for the world, AI stands for artificial intelligence, but he believes AI also represents the American Indian spirit.
दुनिया के लिए AI का मतलब है आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस, लेकिन मैं मानता हूं कि AI का मतलब है अमेरिका, इंडिया, ये स्पिरिट है और वही तो नई दुनिया का AI पावर है। यही AI स्पिरिट भारत अमेरिका रिश्तों को नई ऊंचाई दे रहा है।
The Prime Minister expressed gratitude towards US President Joe Biden for hosting him at his home and said it is an honor for 140 crore Indians. Mr. Modi has announced that 2 new Indian consulates will be opened in the US in Boston and Los Angeles. This expansion reflects India's commitment to strengthening ties with the Indian diaspora across the United States. The Prime Minister also announced the opening of a Tiruvalluvar Chair of Tamil Studies in the University of Houston. At the event, the Prime Minister gave the Pushp mantra for making India a developed nation.
आपको एक शब्द याद रहेगा, पुष्प। हाँ, कमल मान लीजिए, मुझे इतराज नहीं है। पुष्प, और मैं पुष्प को डिफाइन करता हूँ, P फॉर प्रोग्रेसिव भारत, U फॉर अनस्टॉपेबल भारत, S फॉर स्पिरिचुअल भारत, H फॉर ह्यूमैनिटी फर्स्ट को समर्पित भारत, P फॉर प्रोस्परस भारत, यानी पुष्प।
Pointing towards the vibrant democracy in the country, the Prime Minister said, recently India has conducted the largest polling exercise in the world. He said his government again came to power for the 3rd time in a row. The Prime Minister stated that his mind and mission are absolutely clear and he will devote his life for good governance and a prosperous India. Mr. Modi said that 25 crore people have been lifted out of poverty in the last 10 years because of the change in the soch and approach of his government.
भारत आज लैंड ऑफ अपॉर्चुनिटीज है, अवसरों की धरती है। अब भारत अवसरों का इंतजार नहीं करता, अब भारत अवसरों का निर्माण करता है। बीते 10 साल में भारत ने हर सेक्टर में अपॉर्चुनिटीज का एक नया लॉन्चिंग पैड तैयार किया। अब देखिए, सिर्फ 1 दशक में ही 25 करोड़ लोग गरीबी से बाहर निकले हैं।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi held bilateral talks with Kuwait's Crown Prince Sheikh al-Khalid al-Sabah in New York in the wee hours today on the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly. The leaders reviewed bilateral relations and discussed ways to further strengthen the historical linkages and strong people-to-people contacts. Our correspondent covering the Prime Minister's visit has filed this report.
Today, in the early hours of the day, Prime Minister Narendra Modi interacted with the top tech leaders and CEOs of USA in New York. The roundtable was hosted by MIT School of Engineering. In the discussion, PM Modi emphasized India's growth prospects and discussed initiatives to foster collaborations and innovation across diverse sectors. Thereafter, PM Modi held bilateral talks with the Prime Minister of Nepal, KP Sharma Oli. The two leaders discussed matters of mutual interest to strengthen cooperation in all areas of age-old, multifaceted and expanding India-Nepal partnership. Mr. Modi said that the India-Nepal friendship is very robust and both the leaders look forward to adding even more momentum to the ties. This was followed by Prime Minister Modi's bilateral talks with Mahmoud Abbas, President of Palestine. PM Modi expressed deep concern at the humanitarian situation in Gaza and reaffirmed India's continued support to the people of Palestine. From New York, Himani Rana, Akashvani News.
Mr. Modi met Dr. Krishna Singh of Holtec International and discussed Holtec's plan to expand manufacturing in India and the potential for boosting cooperation in the field of atomic energy. Prime Minister Modi will be addressing the UN Summit of the Future at the United Nations General Assembly tonight. The theme of the summit is Multilateral Solutions for a Better Tomorrow. On the sidelines of the summit, the Prime Minister would be holding bilateral meetings with several world leaders and discuss issues of mutual interest. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and US President Joe Biden have hailed the watershed arrangement to establish a new semiconductor fabrication plant during their bilateral talks. The External Affairs Ministry said the new semiconductor fabrication plant is focused on advanced sensing, communication and power electronics for national security, next-generation telecommunications and green energy applications. The plant will be established with the objective of manufacturing infrared, gallium nitride and silicon carbide semiconductors. Our correspondent reports that this is the first ever India-US semiconductor fabrication cooperation of its kind.
It is for the first time ever that the US military has agreed to do a technology partnership for these highly valued technologies with India. The fab becomes not only India's first, but one of the world's first multi-material fab for national security. It will focus on three essential pillars for modern war fighting: advanced sensing, advanced communications, and high voltage power electronics. These three areas also have huge growing needs for commercial sectors such as railways, telecom infrastructure, and data centers and green energy. This fab is part of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's vision for India to become a chip maker from a chip taker. This is a glass ceiling broken in tech diplomacy, and many years down the road, this will go down in history books as a watershed moment in India-US relationship. With Bhupendra Singh, Suparna Saikya, Akashvani News, Delhi.
This is Akashvani giving you the news. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our X handle @AIR News Alerts. Campaigning for the second phase of assembly elections in Jammu and Kashmir will end today. 26 assembly constituencies spread over 5 districts will go to the polls in this phase on the 25th of this month. These districts are Riyasi, Rajouri and Poonch in Jammu region and Srinagar and Budgam in the Kashmir Valley. The Jammu and Kashmir Assembly elections are being conducted in 3 phases. The Poonch Haveli constituency in Poonch district is one of the seats that will go to the polls in the second phase. More from our correspondent.
The Poonch district is a border district situated on the actual line of control. Poonch is separated from Kashmir Valley by genetic Pir Panchal range, and the historic Mughal road links up Poonch with Kashmir Valley. The district also de jure includes the area of Poonch division under Pakistani control. The 89 Poonch Haveli Assembly constituency is part of Anantnag Rajouri Lok Sabha constituency. 8 candidates are in the final electoral fray, including 3 independent candidates. There would be a direct contest between BJP's Chaudhry Abdul Ghani and NC Congress Alliance candidate Ajaz Ahmed Jan. Adequate security arrangements have been put in place to ensure smooth and incident-free elections. This is N. Gulshan Rana for Akashvani News from Jammu.
An Election Commission of India team, led by Chief Election Commissioner Rajiv Kumar, will be on a 2-day visit to Ranchi beginning today to review preparations for the upcoming assembly elections in Jharkhand. The team, also comprising Election Commissioners Gyanesh Kumar and Sukhbir Singh Sandhu, will meet representatives of political parties in Ranchi today. Assembly elections in Jharkhand are due later this year. In Sri Lanka, the National People's Power leader Anura Kumara Dissanayake has been declared victorious in the presidential election. He will be sworn in today at the Presidential Secretariat as the 9th Executive President of Sri Lanka. The Election Commission conducted a second round of counting for the first time in the country's history, as no candidate went beyond the required 50% mark. Noting that Sri Lanka holds a special place in India's neighbourhood first policy and Vision Sagar, Prime Minister Narendra Modi congratulated the President-elect and said that he looked forward to working closely with him to further strengthen the multifaceted cooperation for the benefit of the people of both countries and the entire region. A report.
National People's Power leader Anura Kumara Dissanayake defeated opposition leader Sajid Premadasa of the Samagi Jana Balawegaya by a margin of over 1.2 million votes after 2 rounds of counting. Mr. Premadasa garnered the highest share of Tamil minority vote, while the leftist leader found support in Sinhala majority areas. Congratulating the President-elect, Mr. Premadasa stressed that his party is ready to extend its fullest cooperation in solving the issues faced by the people. Outgoing President Ranil Wickremesinghe congratulated the NPP leader in an emotional message and thanked the people of Sri Lanka. The President-elect will be sworn in today, while his new cabinet comprising 3 members is likely to take oath of office tomorrow. Ahmed Moin Farooqi, Akashvani News, Colombo.
The Board of Control for Cricket in India, BCCI, Men's Selection Committee, has announced the Indian squad for the second test against Bangladesh. The selection committee has confirmed that the squad remains unchanged for the second test. The match will be held in Kanpur starting from the 27th of this month. India crushed Bangladesh by a huge margin of 280 runs on the 4th day of the opening test to take a 1-0 lead in the 2-match series. India has struck historic double gold medals in the 2024 Chess Olympiad in Budapest, Hungary. Both the men's and women's teams emerged on top. In the open section, India's maiden title win was secured following Arjun Erigesi's victory over Jan Sabelj of Slovenia in the final round of the competition. In addition, in the women's section final, the Indian women's team defeated Azerbaijan 3.5 to 0.5 to clinch the gold. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has lauded the Indian contingent for winning gold in both open and women's category at the 45th Chess Olympiad. In our bilingual live phone-in program Public Speak today at 9:30 p.m, we'll bring you an insightful discussion on the Rashtriya Poshan Mah, promoting nutrition awareness and driving action towards building a healthier India. We'll be joined in our studios by Dr. Rupali Malik from the Safdarjung Hospital. During the program, listeners will have the opportunity to pose questions to our expert about nutrition for pregnant women, lactating mothers, adolescent girls and children. To participate, simply dial the telephone numbers 011-2342-1050 and 011-2331-4444 at 9:30 p.m. onwards today. And now for a look at today's newspapers, it's over to Saira Mujtaba.
Thank you, Sanjay. The 4-Nation Quad Leaders Summit in the US, attended by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, gets top billing in all the dailies. The Indian Express writes, in a signal to China, Modi says, Quad not against anyone but here to stay. The election of a new Sri Lankan president is prominently noticed on the front pages. Left leader Dissanayake is Sri Lanka's new president, writes The Hindu. Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh's comments at a public rally in Rajouri are highlighted by the Statesman on its front page. The paper quotes the minister as saying, peace with Pakistan only if terrorism stops. The Times of India quotes government data to write, Assam rhino tally up from 600 in 1960s to 3,000, poaching down 86% since 2016. And finally, in a special front page story, the Pioneer reports that 297 antiquities stolen from India were returned to Prime Minister Modi by the US on his visit there. And with that, it's back to you, Sanjay.
Thank you, Saira. And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi describes Indian diaspora as strongest brand ambassadors of the country. Prime Minister holds talks with Crown Prince of Kuwait, Sheikh al-Khalid al-Sabah in New York. India to open 2 new consulates at Boston and Los Angeles in the US. Campaigning for second phase of assembly elections in Jammu and Kashmir to end this evening. Election Commission of India team to arrive in Ranchi today to review preparations for upcoming assembly polls in Jharkhand. And in cricket, BCCI announces Indian squad for second test against Bangladesh to be held in Kanpur. And with that, we end the morning news. Have a nice day.